starting over, taking in attendance of who's here: Jim Ferrera, Harold Schetzel, Larry Koob, Donald Nuttall, Mark Beauregard, and our guest today is Wayne D'Amico, pilot for Eastern Air. I had breakfast with him this morning, and I told him he's flown a lot at the airport. He wanted to learn a little bit about it. So Wayne,
Thanks for having me.
was happy to pick you up.
Thanks.
I guess we've determined that there is a quorum. Any adjustments to the agenda?
To select a chair and vice chair.
I'm sorry.
A chair and vice chair elect.
Okay, so that's something you need to vote upon today.
The first meeting in July for each
Okay.
committee.
Has anybody given any thought to who would like to run this show? I take some motions.
You want to continue on?
Continue on. I nominate Jim Ferrara, chair.
Second, that's the chair.
I'm sorry.
I want the chair. If he respectfully declines. I respectfully decline.
What do you now?
I'm vice chair.
So he declines. Anybody else have any interest in taking over or doing more, sharing more of the load?
I'll move Larry Koob. Just need a second. I'll second.
All those in favor, Larry Koob for chair. Now I need a vice chair.
I'll move Jim Ferrara for vice chair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jim Ferrara. Would you be proud elected officer as vice chair of the Rangeley Airport Commission?
I'd love to be, yes.
All right, all those in favor of Jim Ferrara, vice chair? Is a vote. Anything else on that?
Any other?
Review the minutes of the last meeting. I was not here, so I would take a little bit of discussion if there were any over the last meeting before we agree to it.
Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the meetings of February 27th, 2023.
I'll take a
With
motion.
any corrections or additions.
The minutes.
I'll second
If there's any correction, we have a second. So vote. Now we can talk about it. Anybody have anything wrong with them?
I wasn't here as well, but
So it's a vote to accept the minutes as read. From the February 27th meeting. So vote. All those in favor, accept the minutes as read. Thank you, folks. Public to speak on any non-agenda item. Hearing none, move on to number 6. Correspondence to be read into the record.
Oh, come on.
None heard.
All right.
Report from the commissioner.
That's you guys.
report to the commission.
Oh, reports to us. So Joe typically has some information to share with us on that subject.
So Joe didn't really bring me up to speak because I had taken a couple of days off last week. And
Okay.
just a chance to touch
So
base.
we'll assume there is none at this point.
Right.
That's easy, makes it a lot easier. Report of the town, of the airport manager,
Again,
nothing to talk about.
other than what was in the body of the email that he had sent out. He had said that the beacon
Okay.
motor has been replaced, the mercury switches for the capping 14 are still on back order. Not sure if the commission desires to pursue, that's one of the old business. This, the flowage fees, that's something you talked about under number 9.
In number 9, I guess let's start with the fuel forward report.
Why don't we just go to, wouldn't that be part of the lease?
What at least we're talking about, I don't have that, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Fuel flow lease. So, has it been determined that we're going to exercise it? Or is this a instrumental review?
I would like to make a motion to table it till next meeting. The reason being is at our last meeting, we didn't have a quorum. It was just Jim Ferrara and myself, and that was on a Monday, and between Friday and Sunday, there were 3 articles in the newspaper, the Lewiston Journal, I think Portland Press Herald, or the Bangor Daily News, about the role of fuel and the sustainability of municipal airports. And I gave those to Joe to look at, and I thought he would I didn't know he wasn't going to be here, so I was wanted to get them back to them and make copies and distribute them to
So
everyone.
what, I didn't see any of the articles, what did they, were discussing, were they saying?
There were a number of things about just the role that the income from fuel or flowage fees is helpful in to the towns in making their municipal airports more sustainable and eases the burden on the taxpayers. So I just thought it was good information that there's
I'd
two
love
or
to
three
see-
different.
I would love to see that, but I also would like to know where the liability falls when we start charging the flowage fee to the operator.
Right, that, we'll have to look into that, but they had like 3 or 4 different folks that are around the country that reported on some of this stuff, and it looked like good contact information to get answers to those questions.
If has anybody reached out to Keith to find out what kind of volume he pumps that does not include his own,
I haven't,
nor have I.
Probably ought to find out.
yeah,
No, I'm just saying, just maybe.
that's probably something Joe should do where he's the airport man.
I'm just saying, I mean, a reasonable ask question is, Keith, besides your own fuel. Because our airport agreement agrees that an operator can sustain his own fuel. He can have his own fuel there. That would be exempt from flowage fees. It's in our lease, airport.
For his
fees.
private fuel use.
Correct. So it may be that our volume is so minimal. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know,
I'm not
I just
sure.
thought it was, the responsible thing to do was be to inform ourselves
Yes,
about it.
So I did make some calls. I called Freiburg, Wisconsin,
comparable type airports.
yeah, Turner, no, it's the one over by Oxford.
Yeah.
Just to get an idea, and we're kind of like an oddity, you know, that we have a fuel farm that's not owned by the town.
Correct.
A lot of them are, you know, so.
Well, the AMP money built it once, or not ours,
Yeah,
theirs.
with theirs, right,
Correct.
so charging a fuel fee for somebody, for like something like Keith, but Keith, it's his, is it his
Facility, correct.
facility? Seems kind of odd, and that's what everyone said. that
And I don't know that you're gonna find a lot of airports other than Turner, which is now closed, that had a similar arrangement.
Right, so,
Turner owned their own tanks.
yes, so, and I just thought I'd mention that.
It's fair to assume that Greenbelt and Pittsfield and Oxford using those not as comparable airports to range, but close.
Hmm.
That their AIP system has put in the fuel farm and it became the responsibility of the town.
Right,
They may assign the operation over to their operator. Or their FBO, or whatever you call Keith, an operator. I mean, for instance, Minions with Flight Augusta, that's a little bit different because it's a almost an international airport, correct? Is it not?
Augusta?
Yeah, but anyway, Minions with Flight Augusta,
scheduled service going.
that's great, yeah, so.
in.
Anyway, I don't know the answer to that. What fears me the most, and I'll continue, is the liability for the town. The monitoring of the fuel from the town, if the town ends up having to take it over. And is there enough money, are we chasing enough money to worry about? Does anybody agree with me?
Yes.
So I think we should, I'll be willing to ask Keith, or when you can. I mean, what do you sell for fuel? Jet A and Av annually that isn't yours? I'll bet you it's very little. You worked for a year.
In the last couple of years, working part-time for Keith on, I'm here. I can count on my hand that I've put fuel in someone else's.
So I think we should look at that.
So if you're looking for data points, I mean, he could go back on a 12-month basis, he could probably give you, I mean, he's got enough records, right, for sales, but it's. He's not on track up here, so. You're looking. Whoa.
Okay.
So my motion was,
Probably not.
I don't think I got a second, my motion was to table it till I could
So I'm
get
just
this
gonna get back to
information
that. I'm just
and
gonna, maybe I opened it for discussion
read what
before.
I
Pardon me for opening up for discussion before we got the vote. Would you take, I would take a vote on the votes on the table for Mark to table this for a month until we get a little bit more details.
I second.
Okay, have a second, all those in favor?
So for the minutes, can you request Joe to get a annual fuel sales for
If you'll give it to you.
Gallons.
If you'll give it to you, but not what he takes,
I understand,
what is
He
sold
does,
retail.
I do remember, I wasn't on there, I think I was still selecting back when they did the first big project at the airport. I remember the FAA having meetings with them, and they were fairly adamant about us making money off of this airport somehow.
That's correct.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
That's very true.
Yeah.
In all the meetings that, Boyd King had, it was
You know,
all
they
about,
wanted the town to get as much revenue as they could out of the airport.
and you know, we don't do that. I think we spend $47,000 for annual, and I think our income is in the 30s. So if you look at other departments, we're not far off. I mean, I don't know that it's ever gonna be self-sufficient, but I don't know that any airport is. But between the leases, and I'm not allowed to use the taxes as revenue.
Right.
But if I throw my hanger down, there were no taxes on it, so it's hard not to use that number as well as lease. I'm still going to the coffer.
No, I get it, I just think, you know, like, we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the town.
Yeah, but
That's
so,
all.
and, okay, so let's table the fuel side of it. But on the CIP update, I'm not quite.
Yeah, we don't really know how much it costs as far as fuel goes. really.
Correct, if we're collecting $58.10 when we discuss it.
That-
Jim, what do you know about the CIP?
Me?
Yeah.
Not much of it.
I'm guessing. Does anyone can tell me what CIP stands for?
Capital improvement plan.
Oh, capital, okay, all right, got it, capital. improvement,
It's
yeah,
not like the
right.
spreadsheet is here.
That is something that we need to study and look at, and dissect it and bring it up at another meeting also, correct? If it's just in front of us tonight.
It would be helpful if we could get by month. You know, how much was used in July, how much did they sell in?
Oh, fuel. Oh, sorry, we're off that. We're on the
I'm
CIP.
sorry,
Okay.
Yeah, so,
They.
we're just getting this is the updated one, I guess.
This.
What do you want, what did you say, Larry? We should
I'm saying-
review it and
I'm
discuss it at
saying
the
that
next meeting.
from what I see, there's no projects under CIP, which would be AIP, correct? The only question that I'd have in the CIP, did we ever get the money back from Pittsfield?
No, that's 2024, it says right here.
That's when it's due back, okay, so I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 2025, we're gonna have accumulated $661,000 is the way I read that.
Yeah.
Of the 125 a year we get from the feds, right? Mark? Oh, I'm 150 now, they may have raised it.
Mhm.
Okay, and I am not sure personally what Joe has in the plan with Stantec right now for the future. Do you, Mark?
Well, it looks like they're gonna design and reconstruct the apron, and they're trying to get rid of those obstruction, get the easements to remove the obstructions on the 3-2 way.
For the trees?
Yeah,
So they had the.
And is
in,
that,
in his text, Joe said there's like 4 landowners involved, and he's got 2 of them that have agreed to meet with him to start preliminary discussions about.
Street.
well, as I said, you know me, I'm a little bit more abrupt, but I said buy the property because it's gonna be an ongoing problem. I mean, if you have property that's got some obstacles at the airport that are gonna continue to grow 6 inches a year, we're gonna be down this path every 5 years.
Well, if they secure easements, then they can deal with them
Okay, but I'm
on an
saying,
ongoing
we
basis.
need a long-term
Every time
fix
they're becoming,
to the
well,
short-term
that's what
problem.
these easements are supposed to do, provide the town the authority to manage that vegetation.
I've never been told that it was.
So that
for province.
they're no longer obstructions in the future.
The last I knew, it had not been surveyed yet to determine whose trees were on whose property.
And I just read his notes there.
But you said you get a text.
No, I didn't get a text.
Oh, that's what you said.
No, if I.
You said I got a text from Joe. That's
It's
why.
this email.
These notes.
Oh,
It
email.
was in the packet that
Oh.
he emailed everyone.
Okay,
And
that's what you said.
his notes said that he's,
Anyway, on the obstructions, we definitely gotta take care of them one manner or another.
right, yeah, and I think he's on it.
Good. That was only 2 years ago. We should solve that problem for the 2 or 3 years probably.
So he hasn't communicated with two of them. He's
Yeah.
communicated with two.
I think he's thinking they could get it resolved next year, but
Okay. Okay, so
Looks like there's money for to do it.
So you're saying that the obstruction removal has a potential cost of $130,000, 35,000? Is that what you're reading that?
he's gonna got acquisition,
it looks like it.
structure removal.
And that could be to buy the easements, some of that money. You may be buying the right to cut those trees off these.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till
Yeah.
he's the only one that really
Good.
knows the particulars. He's been doing the
Well,
distance.
yeah, that's what it says. If you look
Yeah.
up one line, 115,000 anticipated for easement acquisition.
Yeah.
But it is reimbursable. Does that mean it does not come out of AIP money or it does when it's reimbursable?
I think we spend it and then we get it back.
And it back.
But does that mean your AIP money has not been reduced? Ultimately,
Yeah, I don't know, no,
no, but you see what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
You're starting off with,
I don't know which funds those are. It could be those.
well, in 2025.
Tim
we're-
Lacies explained to us about those BIL funds. That, it could be in those.
Well, I would make a motion that we table the CIP and the AIP money until Joe can do a better job of explaining to us what the costs are and how the 600 becomes 134.
Plus, he's got two landowners he hasn't talked to yet, so
So I would
God knows.
make a motion that we table the AIP and the CIP until we have more information from Joe.
Second,
I have a second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
So Joe, it's up to you to tell us to do a better job of explaining the AIP and the CIP.
Okay.
Now, the instrument approach alternatives.
He has to discuss that. See, they came out with this
Yep.
approach, and when this first came up 2 years ago, I think it was Josh Dixon at Lifelight that drew these lines on. And him and Stantec submitted them to the FAA for review and stuff, and at that time, I just asked, I said, why wouldn't you look at, if Saddleback's the obstacle, why wouldn't you look at an approach from both sides of it, rather than just the south side? And the sentiment of the board at that time was just not raise that question and see what came up. And so now that it has come up, I think it makes sense to ask them to see if there's an approach that fits the bill on the top side, because on this lower side, this 3.7-degree offset, you're over a lot more people than you
You are not over
on the other side. And where my house is, I've been there since '82, and I have an unobstructed view of Saddleback and that cell tower and the approach coming in from that. And I can see a couple gaps, and I've checked in the main gazetteer. And when Steve Bean flew Edson Mitchell's, he used to come in from the other side of Saddleback than where this is.
What is
this is
your,
drawn.
so what is the reason? The approach plate right in front of them, FAA has already determined that that is a safe and adequate approach.
Right, but I think it's worth seeing if there isn't an alternative. I mean, this past weekend, we've had 4 plane crashes there.
In Rangeley?
Not in Rangeley, but you had one at the Wisconsin Air Show. You had the one at Hampton Beach, that plane flipped over. You had a guy from New York that picked up his kid at summer camp that crashed in Massachusetts. And, so airplane crashes aren't uncommon, and if an airplane's gonna
None
crash,
of which you
it
just
seems
talked
like it's safer to have your route over the less populated. If the routes are equally safe, You might as well put it over the least
None
number
of
of
what you just
people
mentioned,
that would
was-
be affected.
none of what you just mentioned had anything to do with an instrument arrival. The guy hauling the man and the engine quit.
Right. But planes crash, that's a fact of life. You know, so I don't see, I think
Yeah,
it's
but
just,
I think you'd be much more offset. Well, I'll tell you what, coming on the other side of Saddleback, there's a lot back there. Right?
Well, I would
There's a lot of
probably
mountains in there.
suspect,
but it doesn't cost anything to ask them to look at it.
I would suspect that if you're claiming that Life Flight drew this line, Life Flight made a recommendation to the FAA and they came and looked at it.
Right,
which
but
is-
that was the only recommendation, and I was just saying, why can't we make a
If that
recommendation?
is in fact true,
to
I
have
don't know
them
that it's
look
the
at the
only
other side.
recommendation that the FAA had.
I mean, all I know is when they draw this kind of thing up, I mean, it
It's
takes
real
a
gold.
long time. They really go over it and they consider lots of things we probably
Is
don't
it-
even think of.
But nobody asked them to consider the other side, so they wouldn't do it.
But they're putting in an approach, but they think it's the appropriate place to put the approach.
It's what was asked for, and it works.
I don't think that, no, I don't think so. I mean, you could ask for something,
It might, I'm under the impression,
What's the harm in asking, Jim?
no, but I'm under the impression this approach is in iron right now. They're using it.
was that?
Yeah.
This is already. in
Yeah,
use.
that's fine.
Right,
But
so
what's
you
wrong
want
with
to have
asking
another one?
them if there isn't
You want to have another one?
another one?
I don't think you'd be I think you'd be much more than 4 or 5 degrees offset. I bet you'd be closer to 10 or 15.
It doesn't cost anything to ask. This one, it doesn't change this one right now. Wouldn't it be good to know if there was another one?
Well, I've heard you say this right from the Gazetteer for the last year. I didn't even know that this approach was this close to print. But then I heard a month ago that it was in the book,
Yeah,
that it was usable and in the book.
Right.
That tells me almost that I don't even know why we're involved in it. It's the FAA is determining a better instrument arrival to our airport. I don't know that we have any input to it.
I don't really think we really do. I mean, you know,
They've determined that the NDB is decommissioned and we need a GPS approach to runway 32.
and they want some sort of a straight in.
And they gave you one.
Right? Because don't pilots like a straight in? So you're talking about something with turns in it?
no, I'm just saying, there may be one on the other side of Saddleback that you can come in.
How can you come in straight?
I remember that
from
discussion.
32 from north of Saddleback?
I remember that discussion. There was a determination that most,
That's what I was gonna try to show you, Jim. If you-
But
if
you can show me a map. I know what Saddleback Mountain is. I know what the final for 32 is. It's certainly, here it is on the map.
Jim, if I can point it out, when we mentioned that to somebody said that something like 85% of the traffic comes from the south.
True.
So they wouldn't, there's no reason to cross Saddleback for an approach. You're just adding to the danger of it. Is what I recall. But I could be wrong. Or maybe that was something somebody said here.
Well, doesn't Life Flight come from the east? Don't they come out of Bangor? The reason this airport was extended was
Life Flight comes from Bangor, yes.
from Bangor, from the east. Isn't that the reason?
So Wayne, did you know this approach was ironclad in the book?
I didn't know it was published yet.
Because I heard, I got an email from either George Dunn or Keith a month or so ago, hey, look at the new approach. I didn't even know it was published,
Tuffy's initial approach.
but it clearly is published because this is
It is tough.
this is not an idea here, right? This is not a concept.
No,
This is a real official approach plate.
These are.
Which makes sense.
Someone drew this on and submitted it, and at the time I said, could we give them another one as well to review? And they said, well, they'll just wait, so they wouldn't look at another one because it wasn't presented to them. So I'm just asking, can't we present it to them to see if we?
Possibly,
they're on
but I don't know
option?
that we presented that.
Well, can I intervene, or not intervene, but can I add something? So there's a whole division that's all they do is they'll look at this terrain, it's called TERS. It's a terminal en route procedures. In that division, that's all they will do is scrutinize the criteria to get into this airport the safest way. If the safest way to get into it was from the north, coming down the valley over Quill Hill or something like that, that's where the approach would come from. Regardless if anybody said, hey, can you look at it or not? These guys are taking a distance, I'm looking 30 nautical miles to the front. Well, let's see, names like Tuffy on here, say initial approach fix.
Yeah.
If you do initial approach fix to the north, there's obstacles up there at 4,260 feet. To get down, you know what I mean? You got distance and height.
Right.
You'd be doing unstabilized approaches. I mean, even for small airplanes, that's a lot to do. So these guys, they
Right.
look at everything in the surrounding area from an airport and they go out.
So
Most of
what
it's
would be
only
the harm to
35
ask them
miles,
to
but these
look at
guys
it?
have looked 30 miles.
No harm at all. I mean, they can have another approach for
Right,
that.
you know, if they say it's
You
It's
could
not-
ask the range
not
around
good,
there.
all we
They're
gotta
using
do
30
is,
miles, normally it's
you know, why
25.
not?
You could ask for an approach from the north.
Right, is there a safe approach from the north?
Correct.
That's all I'm asking.
But I'm under the impression, look at this, this is the first time I've seen this document. These approaches are in the book.
This is for use. This is out.
Correct.
So you're crossing tough in the 6,400.
So let them figure it out, whether it's safe or not, all we gotta do is ask.
Well, that would be a question for Stan, correct? And they would take it to the FAA.
Yeah, they might have signed the holding.
Correct, that would be a question
So
for
it's no lower than 63.
I hear what you're saying, but that, to me, it's like, it's already done, it's already, they put it here because it's a safe place to put it.
Yeah, but there may be another safe
Then,
place.
okay, then when they say, okay, that's the safest place, then we could write another letter saying that, can you ask for another? approach?
Could you just look at the north? That's what I asked 2 years ago, and,
I don't think there's a whole lot of population over this. It's not over the town. You're not over the village of this. At 3 degrees offset from that runway, you're still.
I mean, you can
You're still
ignore me,
on the
Harold.
road.
You can ignore me. I told you, I sit there, and I've watched planes come and go since 1982. And I know how Steve Bean used to come in, and he didn't have any problem, and neither did Joe Bessie with the King Air 200 and the King Air 300 coming in to the, not all the time,
Well,
but
it depends on the weather.
right, but sometimes they came in that way, and so when this first came up, I said, well, why wouldn't you look at?
The only reason that I never took your vote seriously, because I considered most traffic from the south, not vote, sorry, your request. And I could never see why anybody would want to cross Saddleback to get back to the airport from a safety standpoint. That's all, the only reason why I did that.
Right.
Why would you go near a mountain? You don't have to. That was my only, when you brought that up a year ago, I said, why would you go near a mountain if you don't have to? I never knew that this was already in print. So my suggestion to you, Mark, is that if you feel there should be an instrument approach from the north, we should speak to Stantec about making the application to make an approach from the north.
Yeah, I
They
just
would
don't
make the
think we ought
request.
to
We would
just not ask.
I would add if somebody wants to approach from the north, see if there's what's the worst case? They say, we don't care, we got the approach on paper.
Worst case, they don't do anything.
Right.
We're back to.
It's not, I don't think it's anything that we have a lot of input to, we don't control the sky.
Right, all we gotta do is
We
ask,
control
and they
the
can
airport.
tell us if it makes sense or not.
We're responsible for the asphalt, the FAA takes care of all the air.
So I'd like to make a motion that we ask Stan Tech there to see if.
See if it's feasible to have an approach from the north.
to Look into what
What's the
approach
worst
from
they
the
can
north.
say is, no,
Yeah.
the worst they can say is it probably doesn't work, or it sounds like a great idea to us.
Anyone second?
I second it.
Okay, I don't care one way or the other, I'll support your Mark, because
Okay.
I don't think they're gonna do it, but at the same time,
Right,
what's it hurt to have an approach from the north?
right.
But,
I think it's worth asking.
Harold, Jim,
Sure, we're just asking.
yes, ask them if it's feasible to have an approach on the north side of Saddleback. All right. That's what Mark's asking for.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Again, I don't think that, I may be wrong. But if light flight through those two red lines, someone asked them after coming in here numerous times, what is your opinion of a GPS approach to runway 32? And they put that down there. They submitted it. Someone came out and test flew it and said, we don't like it. It's a little bit left or right.
See,
It's close.
I recall it being Josh Dixon, but Joe Rope said he asked Josh Dixon, and he said no. And he didn't.
Yeah, I don't know why he
And
was being
then,
part of it.
yeah, he asked Stan Tech, Herb Tech if he did it, and he said no.
I know that the FAA has a whole team of people
Right.
that work on safe approaches to crazy airports. How are we gonna get into Sandpoint, Idaho? You can't. There's an example of an airport that cannot be reached by instruments because you have to go down from too many mountains to get there.
Okay, so.
But anyway, okay, we can certainly ask.
Call for a vote.
I did, anybody, nobody is opposed to asking Stan Tech for a
No,
north
so
side approach. Mark wants to vote. All those in favor for potential north side approach?
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Wait, if I'm, so you're with me, that's it, that's this printed. This isn't just a
Oh,
sample.
yeah, somebody was coming up here in their flight
Yeah.
plan, they'd be seeing these in their book.
And it's in their new GPS data as we enter it.
I mean, if this is a published plate from
it
the
is,
government,
yeah. it
Yeah, it
is.
looks like a
then
published
there's
one.
probably a Jefferson plate, which is.
Yep.
phone.
So under new business, airport promotion and marketing. I have a question on that. So will anybody have any information or feedback on that new one, airport promotion and marketing?
Joe said he, in
put
his
something
text
in.
there, that he put a quarter-page ad in
Email.
Aviation Digest.
Email.
Ah,
You said, text, you keep saying text,
Yeah,
email.
okay. Do we have a copy of that ad?
I don't have one on me, no.
I was kinda
It's probably
curious what it
something- he'll be
looked
back
like.
on Wednesday, you can probably
Has
email it
anyone
to me.
seen it?
I have purchased an app page ad in paper. That's all he said, he did it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, whatever happened to the fly-in?
Do you get the Aviation Digest?
Whatever happened to the fly-in? Talk about promotion. Whatever happened to the fly-in?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, Rebecca, when she was airport manager, was big on it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was a stumbling blocks, and then we had a bad day, and then COVID came. I think we had money.
And we had the expansion, you know, they worked on it for
Correct.
2 years,
Yeah.
extending the runway, so you couldn't have an air show while. it was
I'm just asking for
under
another year going
construction.
forward. Is there any-
I don't, I'm really not up to speed.
Okay, I'm not either, but there was some money indicated.
Well, you know, I can probably give it. Nobody really wants to do it. I mean, nobody wants to, you know, put the work in. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, you know, so.
So there
I
was,
was helping Rebecca out, but she was doing all the paperwork, like requesting, you know, I obviously couldn't do it for this year, but even for next year, you have to put paperwork in now requesting
the date.
military aircraft and the date and, you know, who's gonna come, finding people. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of calls.
Okay, so then, but there was some money around for that.
I believe there's still some money.
What account would it be?
I don't know, because they had, I
That'd give you
think it was some sort of,
That'll give you a job to look up that.
Find out where the money is.
find out where the money is.
Follow the money.
I thought it was some sort of a, what do you call it, not a grant, but for kids in high school and stuff. Like
And you know, we might have given it away.
a scholarship.
They might have given it all away to a scholarship. I don't know.
Maybe.
Wasn't that friends?
Oh, that was Friends of Mountain Aviation, Dave.
No, we did that, but I don't know
But
about,
I don't know that they were tied in with the air show.
no, it was
But
after that.
but the air show
That was
might have
after.
given them the proceeds.
Ask the treasurer, show up.
Okay, that was just a question that I had, certainly something somebody should look into.
that-
Any announcements? I don't know what that means.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
This is, when is,
they haven't been around, these things have been around 2 months,
What's that?
these approaches,
is the date on it?
yeah, 15 June original.
Oh, yeah, the bottom. Yeah,
When was
15 June.
Oh, okay, so just, it's only been around a month.
Well,
Nobody knows about it.
Correct, correct.
And the RNAV was printed in 20 April. Which is the old China approach for 1.4. It just,
Without the,
without the NDB.
without the NDB. you know.
Yeah.
So can we ask for a copy of the ad?
I'll have Joey know, yeah. I'll mention that, Jim, I've already written it down. I'll mention it.
Okay, so any announcements? I would like to announce that we had a constructive meeting.
Okay.
I would like to take a meeting for potential date for the next meeting. If it doesn't conflict with something else.
That's the one thing?
Yeah.
So just to be clear, so I think that we should make money at the airport
So do I.
somehow. You know, I've been frustrated, to be honest, that we haven't been able to get our act together to do something like that. I mean,
Like the air show or like?
well, like maybe the air show with hangars or renting a hangars or something, I don't know, somehow. There's gotta be other airports like us that are.
I haven't done it. I should ask someone to do it, but I believe. I was on the budget, committee. It'll surprise you how much revenue actually comes into that area.
Really?
Between taxes and lease. And
You'd be amazed at the amount of money that comes across that runway just into the community alone.
That's true. But if I talk, like, I don't want a fuel fee, or what do you call it, a
Flow fee.
flow fee. It's only because, I don't know, it doesn't seem to me it's right that those are his tanks and we're gonna charge him anyway for the flow. That's all. That's all. We own them, you know,
And my only fear forever has been the liability. You want the liability. Once you open up a fuel fee, what are you creating for yourself?
we could own the fuel farm.
And then, okay, and I'm good with all of that, Jim,
Yeah.
except you keep doing all this stuff and we're gonna have a full-time attendant or another
Yeah,
full-time employee at the airport.
Right.
Because nobody, like, I went to the airport the other night at 11 o'clock at night for an overdue aircraft. I went to the airport the other day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in that horrible thunderstorm for an overdue aircraft. Both of them got hit, but both of them forgot to cancel their flight plans. So at Boston Center asked me to please go to the airport and verify the tail number was on the ground.
They call you?
Yeah, because I'm the only guy that answers the phone at 11 o'clock at night. My number, the airport town office number.
Yeah.
And they gotta know now, not like 20 minutes from now, not an hour from now, they wanna know now. I get out of bed, I get right to the airport. As they said, 265 Charlie is on the ground. Thank you very much, Mr. Cooper. Nice guy.
I can do that too, you can mind that.
Well, no, what I'm saying is you don't get them that often, but you get them 265 times. If a guy's coming down that close
Jim's
approach,
Jim's a night owl.
I have a night owl. I know what it is. Get a tail number.
that approach is low number. He's sticking with the center as long as he can.
Right.
Then he's below radio contact. He's
Right.
scared shitless,
Right.
pardon me on the tape.
Yeah,
He's about to go close to minimums, if not below, to make it in risk. His needles, his legs are shaking, and he forgets to call. He thinks that they, when they lost radar, they eliminated, they called it good enough, but they didn't.
Right.
Especially a stranger that usually is used to power the tower, having the tower cancel.
Well, believe it or not, Portland Tower is like that after midnight.
I know it is, but after midnight,
Yeah,
not many operations after midnight.
no.
I mean, I understand the center's concerned. I mean, they had a steep crash.
Right.
The center was concerned, where'd he go? Right? He went missing. He canceled his IFR, he went missing. As far as they were concerned that night, he was fine.
Well, I'm surprised they even called.
They didn't, we called him.
Oh.
Did you pick it back up again?
Oh.
Pick it back up again, he can't. Right.
Yeah, just cancel.
They were not concerned about it. So back to the.
Looks like our next meeting date would be August 28th, the last Monday.
August 28th, I will be, August 28th, I'm gonna be in Alaska, but. Okay, we're probably here, okay, Jim, can you handle me in August 28th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Would you accept the motion to adjourn? I need a full quorum for that. One motion to adjourn, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 it is, Tracy,
You know it.
okay, thank you.
15 minutes ago.
No, it's just-
Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Wayne.